What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? Hope you're well. So I had a young man comment on one of my videos asking if he asked that he's looking to get a Trans Am for his first car. What would I look for? What would I do if I was in his shoes? Advice, tips, stuff like that. I want to try to keep this short, but I can't promise. I'm on my drive home from work. It's dark. Your suction cup to my window. Hopefully you can hear me. So here we go. If I was going to look at a car for, say, my wife to daily drive, I've been around these cars. I've had mine since 2011. I know these cars pretty well. So if I miss something, y'all comment it, help me out. It might be something I've never thought about or anything like that. So if you got, give me your input on it. I'm open to it. If I say something that you disagree with, comment on it. Tell me, I got thick skin. Let's do this. Let's figure this out, But either way, so for you young fella, I'm assuming you're young. You said first car, so I'm assuming you're around 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, somewhere in there. You're younger than me. I'm 31. So I'm going to do this in a situation where I'm going to look at a car for my wife. So first thing I'm going to do is tell the old boy, hey, I'm going to say this car, for instance, has 180,000 miles and is bone stock. So another little cliff note, side note, whatever. Don't be afraid of modifications. Sometimes, if you can buy a car that's already cammed, runs, drives great, to where you ain't got a debt, that's great. Just go for it. This is pretty well going to apply to those two. But first thing I'm going to do is ask the old boy I'm buying it from, hey, I'm going to come look at the car tomorrow. Is there any way you could park it tonight and it still be cold in the morning when I come look at it? Because I want to hear, when they're cold, they're going to have all the weird sounds. When they're cold and they've been sitting all night, you're going to see where oil leaks are if it has any. Again, this car is 20-something years old, 22 years old at best, fixing to be 23 years old at best. But, small oil leaks, drips here and there, that wouldn't be a concern to me. Now, if it's just dumping oil out of the rear main, that's a problem. Timing covers leak. I've seen that happen. Sometimes I've seen sensors leak. I've seen an oil pressure sensor on the back of the intake back there in the back, the valley. It's in the back. I've seen them go bad and leak oil, and I thought it was a rear main until I actually investigated. After I done pulled transmission, converter, fly oil. Anyway, check for oil leaks. As soon as you get there, look under it. Fire it up. Crank it up. Obviously check the oil to make sure it's sitting at a good level. Crank it up, listen for weird sounds. Have him crank it with you under the hood. Listen for weird sounds. Piston slap is normal with these motors, so it's going to have a slight piston slap, kind of like a knock when it's stone cold. It does. Every LS I've ever been around that stock does. It's just a thing. So lifter ticks, you'll have those. You'll want to look for a distinct tick, literal tick. I've heard them have a lifter squeak, or squeal if you will. That lifter's trying to seize up, and it's going to take a lot of things with it when it does. Don't get it confused with belt squeak, but take some yellow dial soap. Believe it or not, if it's got a belt squeak, yellow dial soap, hold it under the bottom side, under the rib side of the belt, and it'll go away. Don't ask me how. It just does. It's science. I don't know. But that's how I always had to shut it up on mine. Every time I put a new belt on my car back in the day, it would squeak, it would scream, it would squeal. It was so loud, it was obnoxious. It would not go away. Little yellow dial soap in the glove box. Crank it up, it'd squeal, and get out there, hold it on the bottom side of the belt for a few seconds, it'd go away, and it would come back till I change belts again. Don't know. But yeah, take a Also, when you go, take like a 3-foot section of water hose, small water hose that fits inside your ear hole here. Take one earplug. You can plug one ear, water hose in the other. You have a poor man's stethoscope. You can distinguish whether it's a lifter tick, lifter squeal, belt squeal, exhaust leak, stuff like that. Those things are just common. Now, slight oil burning at idle is common on high mileage LSs. Valve seats, EGR if it still has it, things like that will cause burning oil. So I've seen, so I've learned. Let it get up to temperature. After it's up to temperature, you know, what sounds went away? Why did they go away? Does the reason that I think it went away make sense? You know, ask yourself stuff like that. You know, and there again, these cars are so old, they're at the point now where if somebody's buying them, like, say, young man here for your 16th birthday, you're going to bond with that car. You're going to tinker with this car. You're going to do little things with this car throughout your high school year and enjoy it, and you're going to make it yours. Don't be afraid to buy something that needs a little work. Just don't overpay for it. It's a big thing. Prices vary for area. I know around here you can buy a decent running, driving, high mileage LS car for like 6 to 12 grand, maybe something like that. Either way, I don't know much about 6-speed cars. I've not been around too many of those. Everything I've done is either automatic or, like mine, turbo 350, manual valve body, stuff like that. So we're going to talk on the basis of stock 4L60 automatics because that's what I know. Just throwing it out there too. So, car's up temperature now. The weird sounds have went away. We've got a small exhaust leak. We've got a small lifter tick. You know, it happens. I'm going to cut the car off. Actually, I'm going to rev it a few times to check my oil pressure. You know, at hot idle, oil pressure on my car used to be 20 psi. Factory gauge was not that accurate, but it was there. And at wide open throttle, it would hold like 65, 70 psi. So, I mean, I put a manual gauge to confirm it, and then, yeah, we're talking stock though. So, the LS rule, from what I've gathered, is kind of like the old small block Chevrolet rule. If it's got 10 psi of oil pressure for every 1,000 RPM, it's good. So if you're idling it, or if you're revved to 2,000 RPM and you're holding 20 psi, you're good. So there's that. After it's warm, check the oil. If the oil's black, looks like it hasn't been changed in 38,000 miles, that's a concern. That's a red flag, because maintenance is kind of a big deal with these cars. It is, but it ain't. Like, I've always changed my oil every 300 to 3,500 miles, and every motor I've tore down or seen the inside of, with knowing that it was religiously changed like that, has looked phenomenal. They're real clean. There's not a lot of sludge build up, not a lot of carbon dioxide, stuff like that. But anyway, check the oil. You want to check, now that it's warm, you know, any sludge or contaminants or debris or anything like that is now floating around in there, so you can see it on the dipstick. Check for gas. It's just one of them things. Now that you check the oil, go ahead and pull the dipstick on the transmission tube. See how it is. Don't expect it to be like red and pretty and new. I mean, it could be. Don't be scared of that either, because I don't believe in the whole, well, it's got X amount of miles, I can't change fluid or it'll grenade itself. No, I don't believe in that. To me, that's bull crap. Check it. Now, if it's absolutely burnt and full of clutch material, you're going to have an issue there. Just prepare yourself. It's 4L60. But after all that's good, ask old boy, hey, do you care if we go on a test drive? Take it on a test drive. Check brakes, feel for vibrations, feel for anything abnormal. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you what's on and what ain't, because everything is always on the shit boxes. So you want to feel for weird vibrations, I guess. Weird sounds, ticking, knocking. Once you take it on a test drive, ask the old boy, hey, Don't do a test drive like in town. Stop and go traffic. Take it on the road. Ask old boy, hey, do you care if I lay into this car? I want to make a pull in this car. I want to feel it. I want to see what it does. And he's either A, going to tell you, yeah, man, lay into it, hit it, whatever. Or he's going to tell you no. And 9 times out of 10, if they say no, you ask if they will drive and do it, if they'll lay into it, because you want to feel some abuse on this car to see if it's going to knock on their load, see what it's going to do. I've seen that happen too. 9 times out of 10, they're either going to say, yeah, man, lay into it, or tell you, you know, hey, I don't know you, I don't feel comfortable you doing it, but if you don't mind riding, I'll more than gladly do it for you, you know, whatever. Let them do it. Let them abuse their own car because you ain't bought it yet. Also, take an OBD2 scanner. You can get one off eBay for like $7, $15. I forgot how much mine was, but you can get them fairly cheap. Take one of those, check the codes. You know, EGR codes are a thing. If it's got a cat delete, you know, you might have a code for that, whatever. Some people will say, yeah, it's, you know, we deleted the cats on it, it's straight pipe, so it's going to have a code, check engine light's on for that code. They won't tell you about the 6 other codes it's throwing for MAF sensor, random multiple cylinder misfire, knock sensor, you know. You want to make sure. I know this is a lengthy video, but I'm trying to just go through it. But that's what I'm going to check. If he says, yeah, lay into it and I make a pull, if everything sounds good, you know, there's no weird knocking or anything like that at higher RPMs, you know, that's a plus. I've driven enough 4L60 cars to know if it's bone stock. Most of the time, they're going to hit the rail limiter at 2-3 shift. It's going to bounce off the limiter before it ever shifts. It's a thing. It's a 4L60 thing. I don't understand it. I don't know. And it might not ever shift again. I don't know. But as long as it eventually does shift, there's hope. That's all I can say. The day mine went out, I raised hell. I beat the dog mess out of it the night before, and it held up flawlessly. Me and my wife was actually driving to a doctor's appointment. Had the cruise control set on 70 miles an hour. I had a small little vibration, all neutrals. I wasn't in it, nothing. Like cruise set on 70, listening to radio, drinking a cold drink, and it shimmied, and that was it. We're on the side of the road. All neutrals. The pump grenaded out of nowhere. It's 4L60. So, but either way, there's that. So, I mean, I'm from the South down here. I'm in Alabama, so rust isn't really a thing for me down here. We don't have that here on Trans Ams. But, you know, I think the most obvious places for rust is, you know, of course, floor pans, I believe, rust. Under the carpet. So crawl under the car, poke around with your finger. Not with your finger. Poke around, not like just stab holes through the floor, but feel for squishiness underneath. The trunk area, I know they're real bad. Like, well, the floorboards mainly because the T-tops leak. The back seat buckets. Water can come in through the top of the hatch, run down, get under the back seat, sit there, rust. Now you don't have anything under your back seats. So check, that's an area to check. The rear trunk, also an area to check, which, yeah. Let's see, what else? Brakes is a thing, but it's just brakes. Everybody, you want to check brakes on whatever you buy. Trying to think. Look around. Oh, one big thing. If a dude is adamant about telling you, you know, hey, this car's never been on the track, it's never had slicks put on it, it's never been, you know, abused, or tries to bullcrap you and something like that. Now, forgive me, I don't remember which quarter panel it is, but if you'll look down the car, I know mine was this way, which the dude I bought my car from was straight up honest with me. We beat the hell out of this car. I'm the 9th or 10th owner of my car. So this car, mine was abused, but it still lasted me for like 3 years before any major issues. But either way, if you can look down the quarter panel, I think it's the driver's side will have a small crease. If it's ever had slicks on it or the car's ever left hard, hooked up good, it'll have a small crease in that quarter panel. They all do it. It's first, or it'll be wavy, one of the two. I think it's wavy. Yeah, passenger side's wavy. I forgot what the crease is from on mine. Forgive me for that one. One of the rear quarters will be wavy, damn it. So that's a thing. If you want to get picky with it, you've got little things like your window motors. They're notorious, especially on the passenger side, for going bad. I believe I got a video on replacing those. If not, there's videos of it where we don't. The motors factory are riveted in. You don't rivet them back in. Small nut, bolt washer. Yeah, either way. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I'd go through. There's small things like headlight motors. Turn the headlights on, the headlights pop up, and then when you cut them off, they go down, and then one of them grinds. You got a motor going bad. That's all that is. I mean, really, there's no big electrical issues. I just put a video out on mine the other day about my radio would randomly cut off, and I'd lose power to my power windows, and I couldn't figure it out. That ended up being the body control module has a bad solder. It's a cold solder that is a very common thing to go bad. So if you're looking at the car and he says, hey, the windows don't work, power windows don't work, you know, whatever, they're stuck up, check fuses. If fuses are good, check for power at the fuses. If you don't have power at the fuses, that could be your issue. Not a hard fix at all. It's a very, very simple fix. Like I said, I have a video on that. Other than that, that's all the big issues I've ran into with my car, honestly. I mean, besides, you know, T-tops leak, that's a thing. You can buy a seal kit for those for like, I think it's $115, I think. I could be wrong. I think $115 for both of them. Replace the seals on it, you're good as gold. But yeah, like I said, the back seats, kind of run your hand under the bottom part of the bucket, feel it. See if it's wet, whatever, because they're very bad about holding moisture back there. I think that's pretty much where I'd cover as far as a bone stock car. Don't be afraid of bolt-ons though. If you find a car that's got a set of long tubes, exhaust, you know, minor suspension, you know, yeah, I expect it to have been abused a little bit more than normal, but again, we're talking a 20-something-year-old car. It's kind of like a marriage when you buy this car. You're buying it knowing that, hey, I'm gonna have to fix some issues. So be prepared for that. You know, no big deal. This is really hard to talk about now that I'm actually doing it because I'm more of a hands-on doing it myself person. Like I randomly think of things to check while I'm looking at a car. But when you turn the key on, if it hard starts, make sure the fuel pump's coming on. You'll hear it kind of whine, and I don't know how to explain the sound it makes. Something like that, you know, whatever. It's a fuel pump. It does that. Mine was noisy from the day I bought my car to the day I went to a bigger pump. It just was. So a lot of people say if it's making noise and it's about to go out, not always the case. But ooh, battery cable. See, I'm thinking things. One thing to really check on these cars now that they're getting old, where the positive battery cable comes off the side post of the battery, it goes down and it turns and runs along the body. Where it makes that 90-degree turn, feel it, check it, because they're bad about wearing through, and if it wears through, you can burn a car to the ground. Ask me how I know. Mine fortunately did not burn to the ground, but it almost did. When I moved, because I moved my battery to the rear of the car, and I put a junction right there where the factory battery was. Long story short, on the test drive, I had a big amp fuse. I had a big amperage fuse coming off the battery, like, because, well, my battery relocation kit is actually a amp power very long. Or, yeah, I didn't have one of mine very long until I put gears in it. So, there's that. Yeah, that's about all I can think of, really. Just going over my head, trying to think of other things I look for in a car. Really, if it run and drove great, and it wouldn't just eat up and rust or something like that, if I'm interested in it, it's going home with me, just to be quite honest with you. Under those circumstances, grab a hold to the top of the tire on the front, one of the front tires, wiggle it back and forth. Make sure all your ball joints and things are great up front. Ball joints? Yeah, ball joints. Either way. Suspension squeaks are a thing. Just means something needs grease. Yeah, I think that's pretty well, the gist of it. If you can see it, check around the firewall, around the master cylinder, brake booster, stuff like that. I know some of them are notorious about the firewall flexing right there and eventually cracking and causing all kinds of issues. Mine has never done that. Like I said, I've owned my car for years. Mine, I haven't noticed mine doing that, so it's not an issue I've had to address. But if it is an issue that you need to address, I believe Motion Raceworks sells a brace kit for it. I mean, that's just a thing. Door sags are a thing. These doors are extremely heavy, like the driver door especially, because it's open and closed the most. Extremely heavy. Over time, it wears the bushing out in the hinges. So when you go to shut it, you might have to pick up on the door a little bit. Mine drops like 1/4 of an inch. You open mine and it scrapes the ground, just whatever. It happens. So that's the thing to look forward for. There's fixes for that, simple fixes for that. So, covered T-top leaks. That's pretty well all I know. If I was going to check one, that's pretty well everything I check. So, I hope this video helps. I'm sorry it's so lengthy. I try to be thorough when I check vehicles out, and I might have something I do or something I check that you might not think of, so I just try to cover everything. It's the first video I've done like this here on the tube, so I hope it helped. Like I said, if y'all made it this far, thank you for watching. Subscribe. I do a lot of Trans Am stuff. First gen 4Runners, which I'm driving right now. First gen Cummins. 5-speed swapped one. There's a deer I just almost took out. That's been great. Volkswagen TDI stuff. My wife has an Impala she just bought. Well, she's actually had it for over a year now. But I'm going to start working on it soon. I've got I think it's considered a second gen. I got a 68 Chevrolet C10, full original. I'm fixing to start doing some work on it too. Of course, I race my car, so all this stuff I'll help any way I can. Sometimes I do farm stuff. Like I think I got a video putting a radio in a 40 series John Deere with a sound guard cap. Random stuff that I can do. I've got to the point to where if I'm going to work on something, I'm going to tinker on something, and I'm going to take my time doing it anyways, I'm going to set the GoPro up. I'm going to set a camera up, because I might do something that helps people out. That is a trick I've learned over the years that I just don't think nothing about, that is a lifesaver to you, just stuff like that. I do everything. Jack of all trades, master of none. But anyway, again, thanks for watching this far. Like, subscribe. I appreciate it. Hoping to grow this channel more. 2025, if everything holds together, Lord willing, and everything goes great with my son, who is just over a month old now, today on the 26th. He turned a month old the 22nd of this month. So hopefully, everything continues to go great with him. And 2025, I can still have some racing time. I do have some Trans Am content coming up as far as suspension stuff goes. Because mine is mostly stock right now, and Lord willing, everything plays out, works out like it should. We might have some major suspension upgrades coming in the near future. But for now, that's it. I don't know when I'll do another video because work and my son right now are my top priorities. Well, my son and my wife, of course. My family. This new family thing we got going on. I love it. It's amazing. That's a story for another time because it's been a long, hard road. There is deer everywhere tonight. Golly. It's been a long, hard road to get little dude here, and, well, we are living it up with it. But hope this helps. Hope this answers your question. Probably overkill, but thanks for watching. See y'all next time.